On September 3, 2026, the SETI Institute's Allen Telescope Array detected a radio signal from deep space that changed everything. It wasn't random noise. It wasn't a pulsar. It was deliberate, structured, artificial. The signal originated from a point 47 light-years away in the constellation Cygnus. It repeated every 11 hours and 23 minutes. And it contained information, a message encoded in prime numbers and mathematical sequences that even our most basic radio telescopes could detect. Humanity had been searching for this moment for 70 years. We found it. And within 6 months of decoding the message, every major government on Earth had quietly begun expanding their deep space monitoring programs. Not to find more signals, to watch for what was coming. Dr. Rebecca Torres had been working at the SETI Institute for 11 years when the signal arrived. She was the night shift coordinator at the Allen Telescope Array facility in Hat Creek, California, monitoring 42 radio dishes pointed at different sections of the sky. Most nights were routine. The array collected terabytes of data, cosmic background radiation, distant quasars, the electromagnetic echoes of dead stars. The computer systems filtered out obvious noise, flagged anomalies, and occasionally produced false positives that got everyone excited for about 20 minutes before being explained away. September 3rd started no differently. At 2:17 a.m. Pacific Time, the monitoring system triggered an alert. Dish 23, pointed at coordinates in Cygnus, was receiving a narrowband signal at 1.42 gigahertz, the hydrogen line frequency that SETI researchers had theorized an intelligent civilization might use because it's one of the most common frequencies in the universe. Torres assumed it was interference, a satellite, a classified military transmission. She'd seen it dozens of times. But the signal wasn't moving across the sky like a satellite would. It was stationary, fixed to a specific point in space. She ran the preliminary analysis. The signal was narrowband, exactly 0.05 hertz wide. Natural astrophysical phenomena don't produce signals that narrow. It had to be artificial. Torres felt her heart rate increase. She ran the analysis again. Same result. She picked up the phone and called Dr. Martin Chen, the Institute's chief radio astronomer, at his home in San Francisco. "Martin," she said, her voice carefully controlled, "I need you to come to Hat Creek. Now." "Rebecca, it's 2 in the morning. "Martin, I think we got one." There was silence on the line. "I'm on my way," Chen said. By the time Chen arrived 3 hours later, Torres had confirmed the signal was repeating. Every 11 hours and 23 minutes, the transmission began again. Exactly the same. A loop. The signal consisted of a series of pulses, long and short bursts of radio energy, not random, structured. And when Torres applied Fourier analysis to map the pulse patterns, she saw something that made her hands shake. Prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. The first sequence was the prime numbers from 2 to 97, transmitted in order. No intelligent natural process produces prime number sequences. This was mathematics. This was information. This was proof. Chen stared at the data on Torres's monitor for a full minute without speaking. "Call the director," he finally said, "and no one outside this facility hears about this until we know what we're dealing with." Over the next 72 hours, the SETI team confirmed what Torres had found. The signal was real. It was artificial. And it was 47 light-years away, meaning whatever civilization sent it had transmitted this message 47 years ago in 1979. Someone out there had been trying to reach us since before most of the current SETI team was born. The discovery was classified immediately, not by the government, by SETI's own board of directors. They needed to understand what the message said before announcing it to the world. needed to control the narrative, needed to prepare for the paradigm shift that first contact would cause. A team of mathematicians, linguists, cryptographers, and physicists was assembled. 23 people, bound by non-disclosure agreements, working around the clock to decode the message. It took them 4 months. When they finally understood what the signal was saying, 12 members of the decoding team requested immediate transfers to other projects. 3 resigned from SETI entirely. And Dr. Rebecca Torres, who had been the first to detect the signal, stopped sleeping through the night. Because the message wasn't a greeting. It was a warning. The structure of the message was elegant in its simplicity. After the prime number sequence, which served as a universal "we are intelligent, we understand mathematics," the signal transitioned into a more complex encoding. It used binary sequences, arranged in rectangular grids, that formed images when properly interpreted. The technique was based on the Arecibo message humanity had sent into space in 1974, a clever acknowledgement that whoever sent this signal understood how we might try to communicate. The first image was straightforward, a star map. It showed the position of their home star relative to several pulsars, rotating neutron stars that emit precise radio pulses and serve as cosmic lighthouses. By including pulsar periods in the message, the senders provided a way to triangulate their location, and even when the message was sent, since pulsar periods slowly change over time. The second image showed a simple representation of their solar system, 8 planets. The third planet from their star was marked, Homeworld. The third image was where things became unsettling. It showed 2 symbols side by side. On the left, a complex geometric shape, fractal-like, with nested patterns that suggested technology or intelligence. On the right, a different symbol, simpler, more organic. Below these symbols was a timeline, a sequence of markers counting forward. And at a specific point on the timeline, the complex symbol disappeared. Only the simple organic symbol remained. Dr. Sarah Kim, the team's lead xenolinguist, was the first to propose an interpretation. "I think they're showing us their history," she said during a team meeting in November. "The complex symbol might represent their civilization. This simple symbol, something else, something that came after." "After what?" Chen asked. Kim pulled up the next decoded section of the message, another image. This one showed the same star map from the first image, but with additions. Trajectories. Vectors indicating movement. Something was traveling through space. Moving between stars. And the trajectory showed it passing through multiple star systems, including the one where the signal originated. "They're showing us something that moves," Kim said quietly, "something that goes from star to star, and when it reached them." She pointed to the timeline where the complex civilization symbol disappeared. "They went extinct," Torres finished. The room went silent. Chen stood and walked to the window. Outside, the 42 dishes of the Allen telescope array pointed silently at the sky. "Keep decoding," he said. "We need to see the rest." The rest was worse. The next sequence of images showed a progression. The mysterious moving object, the thing that traveled between stars, approaching the alien civilization's home system. A series of timestamps, the object entering their solar system, approaching their planet. Then the images became more abstract, harder to interpret. Geometric patterns that seemed to represent structures. Buildings, perhaps, or ships. The patterns multiplying, spreading across the surface of the planet in the images. Then a new symbol appeared, one that the decoding team struggled to understand until Dr. James Wu, a physicist, made a connection. "This is exponential growth," he said, pointing to a mathematical sequence embedded in the transmission. "Look at the doubling pattern. Whatever this is, it replicates. Fast." The images showed the structures covering the planet, then spreading to other bodies in the system, moons, Asteroids, even the gas giant planets, showed the same geometric patterns appearing in their atmospheres. And throughout all of this, the simple organic symbol, the one that had replaced the complex civilization marker, remained constant, unchanged. "What does that mean?" Torres asked. "What is that symbol?" No one had an answer. The timeline in the message continued forward. And then, roughly 500 years after the replicating structures appeared, something changed. The structures left. The images showed trajectories again, the geometric patterns departing the alien star system, moving outward, continuing the journey between stars. Searching for the next system, the next civilization. And the final images in this sequence showed the trajectory calculations. Distance, direction, speed. Dr. Wu spent 2 days checking and rechecking the mathematics. When he finally presented his findings to the team, his hands were shaking. "If the information in the message is accurate," he said, "and if this object maintains the velocity indicated in the transmission, I can calculate where it would be now." He pulled up a star map on the main screen. The alien civilization's home star was marked in red. A trajectory line extended outward, passing through multiple nearby star systems. Wu highlighted each system along the path. Added timestamps based on the speed calculations. The signal was sent 47 years ago, but the event they're describing, the arrival of this replicating object, happened at least 500 years before they sent the message. So we're looking at an object that's been traveling for over 550 years since leaving their system. He traced the line forward, through empty space, through several solar systems. The trajectory line reached the edge of their stellar neighborhood, and continued, toward a small, unremarkable yellow star. Our star. So, based on these calculations, Wu said quietly, "Whatever they're warning us about, it's already here." The team spent the next 3 weeks trying to disprove Wu's calculations. They couldn't. Every analysis, every recalculation, every attempt to find an error in the math led to the same conclusion. If the trajectory and velocity data in the alien message were accurate, the object they were warning about had entered our solar system approximately 15 years ago. In 2011, Dr. Torres was the first to suggest checking for anomalies. "If something entered our solar system 15 years ago," she said, "and if it behaves the way the message suggests, replicating, building structures, we should have seen something, detected something." The team began reviewing astronomical data from the past 15 years, telescope observations, satellite imagery, reports from space agencies. At first, they found nothing unusual. Then Dr. Kim remembered something. "The oumuamua anomaly," she said. In 2017, astronomers detected an object passing through our solar system at unusual speed. They named it oumuamua, Hawaiian for scout or messenger. It was the first confirmed interstellar object to visit our system. But oumuamua was strange. Its shape was wrong, extremely elongated, like nothing seen before. Its trajectory was wrong. It accelerated as it left the solar system, as if pushed by some force that wasn't gravity. And its surface reflected light in ways that natural asteroids shouldn't. Scientists proposed dozens of explanations. Outgassing, unusual composition, natural but rare phenomena. One Harvard professor suggested it might be artificial, a probe or spacecraft from another civilization. He was widely criticized for the suggestion. "Pull up everything we have on oumuamua," Chen ordered. The team spent days analyzing the 2017 data, the object's dimensions, its trajectory, its acceleration profile. Dr. Wu overlaid oumuamua's path with the trajectory data from the alien message. Perfect match. Oumuamua had come from the same direction. The same vector. following the same path described in the warning. "That was 7 years ago," Torres said. "If that was the object, the thing they're warning us about, where is it now?" They calculated Oumuamua's trajectory after it passed through the inner solar system. It had swung around the sun and headed back out toward the outer solar system. Last observed in 2018, heading toward the Kuiper Belt, the region beyond Neptune, where thousands of icy objects orbit in the darkness. A region we barely monitor. Too far, too dark, too many objects to track them all. "If something wanted to hide," Kim said slowly, "if something wanted to replicate and build without being noticed, that's where you'd do it." Chen made a decision. "We need to brief NASA, ESA, every space agency with deep space monitoring capability, and we need to do it quietly. Over the next 2 months, through carefully controlled channels, the SETI team shared their findings with a select group of government scientists and space agency officials. The response was coordinated and immediate. 3 new deep space monitoring programs were funded and launched within 6 months. All focused on the outer solar system. None with public mission statements explaining exactly what they were looking for. Existing space telescopes were quietly retasked to conduct surveys of the Kuiper Belt at unprecedented resolution. And in March 2027, the James Webb Space Telescope detected something in the region where Oumuamua's trajectory had led. Geometric patterns. Structures. Growing. The images from James Webb were classified immediately. They showed objects in the Kuiper Belt that shouldn't exist. Artificial structures attached to several large asteroids. Geometric frameworks extending outward from the rock surfaces. Patterns that matched, almost exactly, the images encoded in the alien warning message. And thermal imaging showed activity, energy signatures, construction. Dr. Torres was part of the briefing team that presented the findings to a joint meeting of NASA, ESA, CNSA, and military intelligence officials from 12 countries. "The structures are growing," she explained, pointing to comparative images taken 4 weeks apart. "Every object we've surveyed shows expansion. New geometric frameworks, additional surface coverage." "What's it building?" a military official asked. "We don't know," Chen answered. "But based on the alien message, this is just the beginning." The pattern they showed was clear. Initial arrival, replication phase, planetary expansion. "How long do we have?" Wu pulled up the timeline analysis. "The alien civilization's message suggests the replication phase took approximately 200 years before reaching their inner system. But that's for their planet. Different solar system, different asteroid density in the outer regions, different materials available. Your best estimate, Dr. Wu." Wu was quiet for a moment. 50 to 75 years before significant expansion toward the inner solar system, maybe less. The room erupted in overlapping questions and demands for additional data. But Torres wasn't listening. She was staring at the final decoded section of the alien message, the part they hadn't shared yet, the part that kept her awake at night. The message ended with one last image. It showed the trajectory continuing beyond the alien home system, beyond our solar system. A dotted line extending outward, passing through star after star after star. And next to the line was a number, a count. The alien mathematicians had included it in multiple formats to ensure it would be understood. Prime factorization, binary, even a simple tally mark system. The number was 847. Torres believed it represented how many star systems the replicating object had already visited before reaching the alien civilization that sent the warning. Which meant we weren't the first. We weren't even close to the first. We were number 848. And somewhere out in the galaxy, something was still traveling, still searching, still spreading. headed towards System 849. The decoded message was never announced to the public. SETI released a carefully worded statement in June 2027 confirming they had detected interesting signals that warranted further study but provided no details. The statement generated a brief flurry of news coverage, then faded from public attention. Dr. Rebecca Torres remained at SETI for 6 more months, then accepted a position with NASA's newly formed Outer System Monitoring Program, a program that officially doesn't exist in any public budget. Dr. Wu joined her. So did Kim. Chen retired, citing health reasons. He moved to a cabin in Montana with no internet connection. When asked by former colleagues if he planned to continue astronomical research, he said no. He'd seen enough of the sky. The monitoring programs continue. Dozens of telescopes now scan the Kuiper Belt continuously. The data is reviewed by teams working in secure facilities. None of them talk about what they're seeing. But the structures are still growing. Slowly, steadily, building something in the darkness beyond Neptune. And every 11 hours and 23 minutes, the signal from Cygnus continues to repeat. The same warning, looping endlessly into space. Trying to reach civilizations that might not exist yet, might not have radio telescopes yet, might not be looking at the right patch of sky at the right time. We received the warning. We decoded it. And now we watch the outer solar system, waiting to see if we can do what the civilization that sent the message apparently couldn't. Survive. The signal is still broadcasting, still warning. Because somewhere out in the darkness between stars, the thing that destroyed 847 civilizations is still moving, still searching. And we've just learned that running isn't an option, because it's already here. The signal from Cygnus is real. Anyone with a radio telescope can detect it. But what it says, that remains classified. New cosmic horror stories every Monday and Thursday. Subscribe to explore what's watching us from the dark. This was The Signal We Wish We Never Decoded.